The galaxy never noticed the threads that held it together until the moment they snapped. For years, humanity had stood quietly in the background, keeping the borders peaceful, the trade lines flowing, and the Council united. No speeches were made, no monuments built, just steady hands turning chaos into order. But when the day came that they were pushed aside, the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. What followed was not a war, but something far more devastating: the slow unraveling of a civilization that never understood the strength it had lost. And it all began in a chamber filled with silence. The council chamber felt hollow, as if the very walls were bracing for what was about to happen. Only the soft hum of translation devices shifted the air. Ambassador Daniel Harper stood at the human podium, his palms resting calmly on its cool surface. Around him, representatives from 47 civilizations watched with a mixture of unease, triumph, and guilt. Some wouldn't meet his eyes. Others stared too directly, like people who wanted to believe they were doing the right thing. Daniel had sensed this moment long before it arrived. The quiet conversations that ended the moment he stepped into a room, the closed-door meetings, the sideways glances, it had all pointed to this vote. Humanity's reputation as Death Worlders had always made others nervous. But lately that nervousness had turned into something sharper. High Arbiter Zelnara, an insectoid leader who once treated humans as trusted allies, raised one of her forearms. Her voice, filtered through the translator, sounded ceremonial but heavy. The vote is complete. The motion passes with 39 in favor, 7 opposed, and 1 abstaining. She took a breath. Humanity will be barred from military operations within Council space. Human vessels must remain within approved trade lanes only. Colonies in disputed regions are to be vacated within 6 standard months. Councillor Vexter, the reptilian who had spent 2 years pushing this agenda, eased back in his seat with visible victory shining off his scales. He had painted humans as unpredictable, as relics of an era of violence the galaxy wished to forget. He called them Death Worlders, shaped by a planet that tried to wipe them out daily. And the Council had listened. Daniel felt Captain Lisa Morgan standing behind him like a steady flame. Her posture was disciplined, but he could feel the heat of her anger. She had fought in border conflicts the Council never wanted to admit existed. She had saved their ships, protected their worlds. Now she was being told she was a danger. Zelnara looked at him. Ambassador Harper, would you like to make a statement? Daniel nodded and lifted his head, meeting the eyes of those who could bear it. Members of the Galactic Council, he began, speaking quietly but firmly. For 23 years, humanity has stood beside you. We fought in your wars. We built your trade routes. We protected your borders. We lost people defending worlds that did not belong to us. Our engineers helped construct the stations orbiting your planets. Our merchants connected your economies. He let the silence settle. And we hear you. If this council believes our presence is harmful, then we will honor your wishes. We will step back. Murmurs rippled through the room. Vexter's smug expression faltered. This was not the defiant outburst he expected. Daniel continued. Beginning immediately, humanity will withdraw entirely from Council space. Every military asset, every research team, every trade station. In 30 days, our forces will be gone. In 60, our trade hubs will close. All joint research programs will end. The embassy will be cleared out within 48 hours. The chamber erupted. Some representatives protested. Others whispered frantically to aides. Zelnara tried to restore order, raising all forearms. "Ambassador Harper," she said. The council did not call for complete withdrawal, only restrictions. Daniel gave a tired, gentle smile. High Arbiter, when trust is gone, cooperation becomes impossible. You believe we are dangerous. We will not operate under that shadow, and we will not remain where we are not welcome. He picked up his datapad and the folder containing his credentials. Captain Morgan fell in step with him. "You can't simply leave." Vexter shouted. "There are treaties, agreements, responsibilities." Daniel stopped and turned. "Every treaty will be honored until its natural expiration, but we will not renew them. We are stepping out of your way, Counselor. I sincerely hope the peace you expect becomes reality." He walked out, leaving a chamber full of voices rising in confusion. Outside, 53 members of the human delegation waited: soldiers, officers, engineers, trade officials. They stared at him with the same question in their eyes. "Pack everything," Daniel said quietly. "We leave in 48 hours. General Marcus Webb stepped forward. "Sir, we have personnel spread across 47 different sectors. Stations, patrol routes, listening posts. Withdrawal will take months. Then we start now," Daniel answered. "Full recall. No delays. No exceptions." For 2 days the embassy became a hurricane of organized activity. No complaints, no raised voices. Humans worked like a single organism, efficient and silent. Equipment vanished into crates. Data cores were encrypted and sealed. Rooms emptied one after another until the entire place felt like a museum. Other species watched with a strange mix of fear and confusion. Some tried to ask if this was necessary. The human answer never changed. "The Council has made its decision. We respect it." When Daniel stepped onto the final transport, he glanced once at the now gutted embassy, then at the massive council station shrinking behind their departing ship turf. He said to the pilot, "We're going home." The first week after humanity's departure was oddly calm. Vexter strutted through the station, basking in praise. Messages called him a visionary, the one who removed the threat. The second week brought the first signs of trouble. Patrol gaps appeared. Listening posts went offline. Trade routes slowed. Fleet coordination became chaotic. Daniel's comm warning had been invisible to the Council, but its consequences were not dot by week 2. Pirate attacks began on minor colonies, nothing grand, just small probing strikes. But there was no one fast enough to stop them. Dot by week 4, the Council was drowning. Human patrol routes had covered everything. Human merchants had stitched the galaxy together. Human engineers had kept the infrastructure humming. Now, chaos. Reports flooded in: smuggling, raiding, lost convoys, delays, shortages. The economic networks humans built collapsed like a bridge with one beam removed. And the Council finally saw the truth. Humans had not just participated in the system. They were the system. 3 months in, the Council was fighting for survival. Pirates formed fleets. Worlds were being overrun. Trade plummeted. Food shortages spread. High Arbiter Zelnara stood in the Grand Chamber and admitted the truth. We misjudged humanity. We removed the foundation and expected the building to stand. By 6 months, 23 colony worlds had fallen. The economy had contracted so violently that entire species could no longer afford to send delegates. The council shrank not by decision, but by collapse, with nowhere left to turn. Zelnara and a small delegation traveled to Earth. They did not arrive as rulers. They arrived as equals seeking help. Daniel Harper greeted them. His expression professional, but not cold. Zelnara didn't waste time. Our people are dying. Our systems are failing. We request humanitarian aid, food, medicine, basic protection for supply convoys. We do not ask you to rejoin the council. We ask only for help. Commander Nicole Phillips nodded. We have medical ships ready. Supply convoys prepared. We'll deploy immediately. Zelnara looked stunned. You were waiting for us to ask? We hoped you would, Admiral Carter said. But we couldn't force our help on you. That would have been disrespectful. And military support? Zelnara asked. No, Daniel said plainly. That era is over. But we will form new agreements, direct partnerships with species who want them. And the galaxy changed. Within months, humanitarian fleets restored life to starving worlds. Convoys under human escort reached planets that had been cut off for weeks. Species began forging their own independent alliances with Earth. The Council survived, but smaller, humbler, and wiser. 1 year after he walked out of the chamber, Daniel Harper returned as a visitor. He met Zelnara in a modest office, not the vast hall that once defined their relationship. How are things now? He asked. Recovering, she said. Slowly. We lost much. But we're rebuilding with honesty instead of fear. She hesitated. Did you know this would happen? We suspected, Daniel said. But sometimes a lesson must be lived to be understood. Zelnara nodded. I believe we have learned it. Daniel looked out at the stars. Then we can move forward, not as what we were, but as what we choose to be next. And for the first time in a year, the galaxy felt ready to breathe again. The Council thought the worst was behind them. Human aid ships were moving again. Starving colonies were receiving crates of medicine stamped with the blue Earth emblem. Convoys escorted by sleek human cutters arrived like lifelines thrown across the void. Worlds that had begun to lose hope slowly returned to life. But beneath the fragile recovery were deeper fractures the Council had yet to face. 3 weeks after Earth began humanitarian deployments, High Arbiter Zelnara sat alone in her dimly lit office, studying the newest reports. They were better, infinitely better, but still troubling. Pirates had stopped attacking supply convoys, but had not disappeared. Instead, they were growing quieter, more organized. As if preparing for something larger. Zelnara tapped her mandibles together in thought. Why retreat now? She whispered. Why wait? Her door chimed. Counselor Ithara stepped inside, wings folded close to her back. You look troubled, Arbiter. I feel troubled, Zelnara admitted. Human aid has stabilized the collapse. Yet something in these reports feels wrong. Ithara scanned the files. and let out a soft hiss. "You're right. Pirate movements have become predictable, not bold, not reckless. They are grouping, preparing," Zelnara finished. The two shared a look neither dared voice. The galaxy had grown reliant on human intervention. Without it, predators adapted, and the predators were learning fast. A sudden alert pulsed through the office. Another transmission. Zelnara opened it cautiously. The face of Governor Lyncher of Epsilon appeared bruised, exhausted, but determined. "High Arbiter," Lyncher said, "we have news. The pirate forces occupying our world have begun constructing shipyards on the surface. They are no longer looters. They are building infrastructure. They plan to stay." Zelnara's chest tightened. "Has Earth been informed?" "Yes, but they gave the same response as before. No intervention. The Council will act," Ithara promised. But Lyncher shook her head, eyes clouded. "You're already too late. They have taken our orbital station as a fortress. They broadcast propaganda daily, claiming the Council is weak and Earth is unwilling." Zelnara froze. The pirates weren't only conquering territory, they were shaping a narrative. They believe, Lyncher whispered, that they are the rightful successors to the Council. The transmission ended. The silence afterward felt like a physical weight. Defense Coordinator Ginrock stood before the Council the next morning. He looked worse than before, for unkempt, eyes sunken, uniform worn from sleepless nights. "I have identified the group behind these coordinated attacks," he said. "They call themselves the Iron Halcyon Confederacy." Murmurs erupted across the chamber. "Are they pirates?" "At first," Ginrock replied, "but their behavior has changed. They are recruiting, unifying, forming a coherent structure. They have a command chain, strategic planning, and supply lines." Vexter, now sitting quietly in the far corner as a stripped-of-power observer, growled. "A pirate empire?" "No," Ginrock corrected sharply. "A pirate government." The chamber fell into a stunned hush. Ithara leaned forward. "What do they want?" "To replace us," Ginrock said. "And by extension, to challenge Earth." Zelnara immediately contacted Ambassador Harper. He appeared on the screen, calm as always, but his expression hardened when she shared the details. "The Iron Halcyon." Daniel muttered, "We've monitored their activity. They're dangerous. Then help us stop them," Zelnara said. Daniel shook his head. "You know our position. Humanity cannot launch military operations in Council space without an official request, backed by all surviving member species." Zelnara knew what he was really saying. Convince your own people. Convince the broken council you once led. "We're running out of time," she whispered. Daniel's look was sympathetic. "You're not alone. But you must make the request properly. If Earth moves without permission, it becomes war, not rescue." The transmission ended. Zelnara sat back, trembling. The council was fractured. Some species no longer attended sessions. Others refused to trust humans. Some had already begun negotiations with Earth individually. To unify them again, even briefly, felt impossible. But the Iron Halcyon was coming, and they wouldn't wait for political debates. The next blow came 3 days later. 8-member, species small, but strategically vital, announced they were officially leaving the Galactic Council to form their own alliance with Earth. The council chamber exploded in panic. They're abandoning us. They were barely contributing anyway. This weakens us further. Plexen, the aquatic minister, tried to calm the chamber. Earth has not demanded they leave the council. They chose this themselves. Vexter barked a bitter laugh. We broke the system when we forced the humans out. Now the pieces are falling apart. Why are you even here? A counselor snapped. To watch you realize the mistake I helped you make. Vexter muttered. I deserve every moment of this shame. The Iron Halcyon Confederacy struck again. 3 more colony worlds fell in a single coordinated operation. This time they broadcast their declaration galaxy-wide. The Council is broken. Earth has nitrogen monoxide authority here. We are the new order. Their fleets were growing. Their confidence was growing faster. Zelnara called an emergency meeting. Only 28 representatives showed up, barely more than half of the original number. We must vote, Zelnara said firmly. Officially, unanimously, if we want Earth's help. Every species still in this council must support the request. And if they refuse? Someone asked. Then we face the Iron Halcyon alone. Zelnara said. No one spoke. Everyone understood what that meant. For the first time in months, silence filled the chamber, not from tension, but from fear. Zelnara raised her hand. All in favor of formally requesting Earth's military assistance against the Iron Halcyon Confederacy? One by one, hands, claws, tendrils, wings, or digital proxies lifted. 20-8 votes. Unanimous. Zelnara exhaled shakily. The request will be sent immediately. Ithara placed a wing gently on her shoulder. Let's hope humanity hasn't given up on us. Zelnara nodded. For all our sakes. In a quiet operations center deep beneath Earth Defense Command, Admiral Frank Carter watched the Council's formal request arrive on his screen. Officer Ramirez turned to him. Sir, they finally asked. Frank leaned back slowly. It took them a year, and a near collapse. What are your orders? Frank didn't answer right away. Then he stood. Prepare a response fleet. Ramirez nodded. Sir, full deployment? Frank exhaled. No, not yet. We go small at first. We show presence, strength, discipline. Then we negotiate the rest. He tapped a command into the console. Send word to Ambassador Harper. And tell Commander Phillips to prepare medical support. This is going to get worse before it gets better. 12 hours later, the first human warship appeared on the border of Council space, the HDS Resolute. A sleek strike cruiser with Earth's blue insignia glowing across its hull. It did not attack. It simply waited. A message broadcast across every channel. By request of the Galactic Council, Earth has returned. Human forces will begin stabilizing operations. No offensive engagements unless fired upon. On a dozen worlds. Civilians cheered. On Iron Halcyon frequencies. Alarms blared. The galaxy was shifting again. And this time, humanity wasn't withdrawing. It was arriving. The arrival of the HDS Resolute sent shockwaves through Council space. Some species wept with relief. Others watched cautiously, afraid to hope. And in the hidden corners of the galaxy, where lawlessness had taken root, entire factions trembled. But not everyone was pleased. The Iron Halcyon Confederacy saw the Resolute as a direct challenger spark threatening to reignite a war they believed they had already won. They prepared to strike back. Deep inside a captured orbital foundry above Epsilon, the Iron Halcyon leaders gathered around a holographic star map. Red icons marked the Council's weakened outposts. Green icons pulsed where pirates had seized control. But one single blue icon hovered at the edge of their territory. The Resolute. "That ship is an insult," growled Carthos Vane, a towering ex-military commander turned warlord. His armor was dented from old battles, his left eye replaced with a cold device that tracked movement automatically. A Death Worlder warship arrives, and the Council cheers like frightened children. General Nasra, a spined reptilian with a voice like cracking stone, flicked her claws at the map. "Earth is baiting us. They want us to attack first. We should oblige," Vane snarled. "No," a quiet voice said from the shadows. All heads turned. Walking forward came Malus Arkan, the architect of the Iron Halcyon movement. Slim, calm, unsettlingly intelligent. Her species was unknown. She kept her face partially hidden behind a ceremonial veil. "Earth isn't baiting us," she said. "They are testing us, measuring our response time, our patterns, our discipline." Her fingertips traced a slow circle above the hologram. "They want to know if we are a threat worth crushing," General Nasra hissed. "We are, not yet," Malus replied. "But we will be." She touched the blue icon representing the Resolute. "For now, we watch, and we prepare." On the bridge of the Resolute, Commander Hale studied the starfield with calm focus. He was not a diplomat. He was a tactician, precise, adaptive, and stubborn enough to stand in the void alone. "Sir," his XO said, "multiple Council channels are requesting direct military protection, and we'll protect them." Hale replied, "But we do not fire first. Not unless sanctioned." He opened a secure channel to Earth. "Admiral Carter, this is Hale. We're in position." Scanners show the Iron Halcyon consolidating forces. Frank Carter's voice came through steady and controlled. "Hold your line. Reinforcements are en route, but quietly. No escalation." Hale frowned. "Sir, they're organizing. They're not just raiders anymore. If we wait too long, we let the Council see the threat clearly," Frank said. "They need unity, not panic. And Earth will not be blamed for starting this war." Hale knew he was right. Still, waiting felt like standing in front of a tidal wave with your hands in your pockets. Back in the Council chamber, panic simmered beneath every conversation. They're consolidating fleets. They've fortified Epsilon. Our colonies won't survive another attack. Trade Minister Plexin, swimming in his water tank, slapped his tail against the glass in frustration. "We are not prepared for a prolonged conflict." Councillor Dryvana of the crystalline Vasari people stood, her voice sharp as broken glass. "We have relied on Earth before. Now we rely on them again. Is this our future? A council that cannot defend itself?" No one spoke, because everyone knew the answer. Zelnara raised her hands for quiet. "We have asked Earth for aid. They have responded, but their forces cannot act without coordination. We must provide them a united command structure." Vexter barked a mirthless laugh from the shadows. "We're asking the Death Worlders to save us again, after we told them to leave?" Zelnara's voice held no anger, only exhaustion. "Yes, because we have no choice." Ithara stepped forward. "This is our fault, our pride, our blindness. Earth will help us, but only if we stand beside them as partners and not burdens." The chamber fell into reluctant silence for the first time in decades. The council was beginning to understand humility. 3 days after the Resolute's quiet arrival, it happened. Commander Hale stood on the bridge when the alarms screamed. Multiple warp signatures. The sensor officer shouted, "There, sir. They're right on top of us." Hale braced himself. "Raise shields. Defensive posture only. No offensive fire without authorization." The starfield ruptured. 15 Iron Halcyon warships dropped out of warp in perfect formation, silent, disciplined. Deadly dot. They didn't fire immediately. They wanted to show they could. Broadcast from the Halcyon flagship. Comms said, "Put it through." Hale ordered. A massive figure appeared on the screen. Carthos Vane himself. Human. Vane growled, "Turn your vessel around and leave council space. You have no authority here." Hale stayed calm. "We're here by unanimous request of the Galactic Council." "Then the council is weaker than I thought." Vane spat. "Leave, or we will erase your ship from the stars." Hale leaned forward slightly. "If you fire on us, you start a war with Earth." Vane smiled. "Good." The transmission cut. "Sir," the XO whispered, "they're powering weapons." Hale's jaw tightened. "Then, hold position," he said quietly. "We don't blink first." The first volley struck like thunder. The Resolute shuddered violently. Lights flickering, alarms screaming through the corridor. Shields at 60%. Secondary hull plating compromised. They're targeting engines. Hale gripped the railing. "Maintain defensive protocol. Signal Earth we are under attack." Outside, Iron Halcyon ships circled like predators sensing. Blood. The council's first human warship was moments from destruction. Zelnara received the distress call while in session. The room fell silent as Hale's strained voice echoed through the chamber. Under heavy fire, multiple Halcyon ships' shields failing, requesting immediate static. Then nothing. Plexen's gills collapsed in fear. "They are trying to provoke Earth," Ithara whispered. "If Earth responds with full force, the galaxy changes forever." Zelnara stood slowly. "We must authorize them." "What?" A counselor gasped. "Authorize Earth to engage," she said firmly. "Not defend, not escort. Engage." The chamber erupted. "That's war. That's surrender. That's survival." Zelnara corrected sharply. "They attacked Earth's vessel. We cannot ask humans to bleed for us with their hands tied behind their backs." Silence. Finally Ithara raised her wing. "I vote yes. Then Plex on. Then Drivana." One by one. The rest followed. Unanimous. For the first time in its long, fragile history, the Council authorized a human attack fleet inside its territory. Admiral Carter received the authorization with a heavy breath. "Sir," Ramirez asked, "what now?" Frank stared at the screen, Resolute's last known coordinates burning into his vision. "Now," he said quietly, "we stop them. He turned. Launch Strike Group Orion. Full combat order. No restraints. Yes, sir. And Ramirez, sir. Send a message to Commander Hale. He paused. Tell him reinforcements are coming. And tell him to hold the line. Hale's ship burned. Smoke choked the corridors. Sparks rained from shattered consoles. The deck vibrated under each impact. Sir, shields are gone. Weapon arrays offline. Casualty reports coming in. Hale wiped blood from his forehead. All power to engines. Emergency evasive pattern. The Resolute lurched, dodging one barrage only to be struck by another. Vane's voice returned, dripping with cruelty. Is this the strength of Earth? A single bleeding warship. Hale coughed, struggling to stay upright. Strength isn't measured by a single ship. Then where is your fleet? Vane mocked. Hale allowed himself the smallest smile. Right behind you. The Halcyon ships hesitated. Sensors flared. One signature dot, then 10 dot, then 50 dot strike group. Orion ripped into real space in a blazing formation. Human destroyers, cruisers, carriers, and Black Ops interceptors emerging like a tidal wave. Vane's smug grin vanished. Admiral Carter's voice echoed across every channel. This is Earth Defense Command. Stand down or be destroyed. The Iron Halcyon Confederacy had wanted a war. And now they had one.